This is Slowcase Podcast.
We are back right here, Union Smack, episode 7. It feels like an eternity since episode 6. Always with hiccups with this show for some reason. But we are back once again. Maniac Matt from Future Wrestling Podcast, my dear co-host for this Union Smack. Man, big things happening over there. You're changing your formats, all kinds of stuff happening with you and Logan in your show. But how have you been, Pally? How's your week? And welcome back to Union Smack.
Week was good, can't complain, and as always a pleasure, Travis. And can I just say again a huge thank you. I've been, I'd say, inundated with messages on Twitter asking when this episode's coming. So for all your enthusiasm, everyone, and for all the good things you've said and all the love, thank you very much indeed. And you can check me out on Twitter as always at TenantFutureDW, and you can check me and Logan out on the Future of Wrestling podcast, which is going strong right now.
Yeah, congrats to you guys. Now NXT, covering NXT every week. Thinking outside the box, I love it. So, guys, get over there, Future Wrestling Podcast on YouTube. Give them a subscribe and a like. And you can follow me on Twitter at the Hibiki TMD. Check out the Reset Button, Slam Picks Podcast, Union Smack like this, and Cruise Control, our 205 live show with Logan from Matt's show, Future Wrestling. But let's get down to business, the brass tacks. Let's talk Pete Dunne, coming out on Twitter recently in the past week or so, Matt. What's Pete talking about?
Pete is basically putting a shadow on the UK show now. We thought we were going to get something in the way of a weekly TV show after SummerSlam. I've said this for the past 2 weeks, that we're all expecting a new special around August the 18th. It will be recorded before, so we can get Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate 2 at NXT TakeOver. That was thought to then transfer into a weekly show after SummerSlam, but now Pete Dunne has come out on Twitter, and it was on Thursday, the 13th of July. He's basically now touting for bookings for the whole of September and October, Travis. And I just don't see, if WWE were putting on a weekly show, why would he need independent bookings for all that time?
Yeah. I could see that argument, definitely. But I'm also reminded of, like, when Joe first came in, right, in NXT, and he was still taking bookings for, like, a good couple months, maybe a month or two at least.
Yeah.
This is definitely longer than that, but I don't know. It could be either way. It could be just, they're stalling and not wanting to say there's not going to be a show, or, he's just making some extra money and they're allowing him to until. So I don't know. I'd like to think, obviously, as we go through, that we're definitely getting a show still, but it is not looking good. It's not looking good for any shows. Talking Smack 205 Live, none of them have anything promising in their future, unfortunately. But yeah, I hope it's not true. Say it ain't so.
I mean, we've waited and waited and waited, and it feels like it's just been put off for no good reason. They could have made so much money from the UK show by now. It's just, I don't know why they haven't. I'm surely Triple H. I know he's got NXT to think about, but surely he can see that they're wasting time and they're wasting talent, and the longer they leave it, like, the less people are going to be bothered about it.
If my memory serves correct, the initial one in January, the tournament, every time they've done one of these, it does pretty well numbers on the network. Like, people watch them, and they always get positive reviews. How could they not? Because they're really good. They're well done. They're organic. It's just wrestling done right with that UK flavor. But, man, I don't know if it's a lot. Honestly, people have got to be hesitant backstage, especially with just the blunder that's been 205 Live. It's got to be a lot of hesitance from Vince to want to start anything up anytime soon. So who knows what, a lot of things could be going on. But a lot of things could be going on in the good way we don't know about. They're not, like, maybe there is a show and they're just keeping it under wraps. I don't think they have that much foresight, and they can't just, it's like they can never help themselves and not spoil something months ahead of time. So we probably would have heard about an official date at least, something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But we've got nothing, and if this is just basically him looking for work now because there is no UK show, then what are we looking at? Nearly a year after the tournament until we get. That's too long. You know, I feel like they left 205 Live too long after the Cruiserweight Classic. But
with the modern fan, the amount of time they took with that, the Cruiserweight Classic, and like a year is like a decade back in the day. Like the patience and the modern fan, just the way it is with any genre, any platform, any media.
You should be cashing in on that tournament like 2 or 3 months afterwards. You know, WWE, this is a company who book WrestleMania a year in advance sometimes. You know, they have their plans ready. Why not, knowing you're going into a tournament like this, why not have plans ready for a UK show 2 or 3 months afterwards? It's just, you leave it so long and people just end up not caring about the people that they were actually excited about when the tournament came along. They could have at least kept Pete Dunne on NXT. Give him a full-time job on NXT.
Which I thought we were going to see. Like, it seemed like they were transitioning him, but they would only put him in there with other UK guys, and that stopped. We just don't get him at all in any of the tapings we've seen recently. There's been no Pete Dunne.
Nope, and I've not heard of any Pete Dunne coming up either.
Not even any UK matches at all on any of these tapings, I think, either.
Nope. I haven't heard of Tyler Bate for a while. I know he's been on the pardon me, he's been on the indie scene in the UK, but it's like after TakeOver they just petered out. Pete Dunne had that match against Danny Burch and gone.
Is Tyler Bate taking spots in Progress right now?
I think he is, yeah.
Well, we say these guys all have something, especially it definitely got their name out there for their indie bookings and stuff, so I mean, it did anything, but it was all positive for them. Like, I'm sure they're not going to be totally bummed at the end of the day. Like, I'm sure it'll be a big deal and you know, about not getting a UK show, that kind of exposure. But it worked out somewhat financially for most of those guys, I would like to think.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But the appeal's going to wear off after a while. They got to ride that wave of momentum while it's fresh, you know.
Yeah, I mean, what are we? 6 months, 7 months down the line now since the tournament.
Yep.
And WWE are now putting on Twitter their designs for a replica UK championship. I can't see that being a big seller right now.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause, why are you buying it? A title you've seen a handful of times on television.
Speaking of seeing things handfuls of time on TV, last episode, there was a guy brought up that I've never seen or really heard of before, and that was Eddie Dennis, who we talked about last episode. I don't know if you've seen any more detail come out about his signing with NXT, Matt.
I haven't seen much news about him at all, actually.
It's been pretty low-key as far as what they're doing. But, yeah, apparently it's still a go. He's with NXT now, Matt. But my buddy Mike Kilby on Twitter, actually, last time when it happened, I was like, who's Eddie Dennis? Or I was being snarky. I was like, who? And he was like, Eddie Dennis, mate, you've got to see his match with Chris Hero. So you guys asked, we received, and we checked out Chris Hero and Eddie Dennis, this specific match. Where in the hell was this at? Was this in like a skating rink? What?
It looked like a British bingo hall.
Yeah.
The ceiling was so low.
So low. So
if Chris Hero had took one more step up the turnbuckle, his head would have gone through the panelled ceiling.
Yep. It was a sight. It was a sight. At least they had an entrance ramp, and they tried. I will say, this crowd, red hot for this show.
Yeah.
What was the specific promotion this was held in, Matt?
Is it bad that I can't remember
at all?
I didn't know anything down about the match because I remember the match. What the fuck was the promotion? Was it? I can't remember. Travis, I can't remember. I know it was a small time British promotion.
Pro Wrestling Chaos. Look at me using Google.
There you go.
Yeah, it was Pro Wrestling Chaos show, and you know what? I liked the match. It was a little bit spot festy, and I think you agreed with that sentiment off air when we talked about this originally. That's not sell a bunch of finishing and set up maneuvers. That's shit that all cranky curmudgeons like us bitch about now in wrestling. But that didn't mean the match was bad. I mean, if you can accept that style and what it is, great match. Considering where this was held, I'm sure these guys had never really worked before. And, you know, after digging some research on Eddie Dennis, I have watched other matches of his. The Pride of Wales. He was in Progress. Didn't know he was a Progress.
He was in Progress.
So there you have it. What did you think of the
It,
match, Matt? Eddie Dennis, Chris Hero.
I liked it. It was suspense filled. I mean, the main problem I had with it, Travis, like I told you, was just the constant kicking out of big moves, which then diminishes that move. I don't like to see that. I think WWE have done that much better with the likes of. I'm going to go back to Pete Dunne again, but when he hits the bitter end, it's rarely kicked out of.
But see, it bites him in the ass too because they did that shit for so long where they made finishers meaningless, and we just saw it with Joe versus Brock. They did one F5. They did it like how a Brock's finisher should. You should just take one, and everybody bitched because everybody expects that formula now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, one finisher and end that makes a wrestler and a move look strong. But these guys, for as good as the match was, they were kicking out of massive pile drivers, power bombs, Chris Hero's rolling elbow.
Yeah, I was about to say, my God, the last segment, Chris Hero hit 3 of those in succession to nothing.
It nearly broke his jaw, and he still kicks out. And Eddie Dennis isn't. If anyone hasn't seen Eddie Dennis, he's not a Brock Lesnar type build. He's a weedy little man.
He's lanky, I think is the word.
Lanky. Thank you very much. He's a lanky, and there's nothing to him, Travis. Like, there's no muscle.
He's a tall, skinny guy.
He is. He's a tall, skinny guy who got his face bashed in by 3 heavy Chris Hero elbows, and he kicked out like he's John Cena.
Did he really break his jaw in this match? I did not know that, if that's true. From that
spot. It looked like he did.
It did look like it. I thought maybe there had been some thigh smacking going on a little bit, but yeah, if anything, I mean, Dennis gave it right back. We say he's tall, skinny guy, lanky, and we joke, but he's tough as nails. This kid, I do see what they see in him in a way. The only thing, like this varsity jacket fucking gimmick, I don't like his gear in this match, at least.
I was going to ask about that.
I didn't get it, I guess. Maybe I did, because I didn't know the history of the guy, but I don't, like, it looked like slime as his logo with, like, pink lettering. I didn't even know what it said. Do you know what I'm talking about? It looked like Slimer took a shit on the back of his jacket, and I was like, I don't get it. Is it, like, I'm so 90s gimmick, like Mandrews? Like, what is this? But how do you think they're going to present Eddie Dennis at the end of the day?
I hope they present him like a Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong's done really well in NXT with the whole redemption story of trying to climb to the top and take the title to make his career justified. I can see that happening with Eddie Dennis. He's got the skill. The main worry for me is, fine, they've signed him to NXT, but is that really as far as his career goes in WWE? Usually it's NXT main roster. I can't see Eddie Dennis getting over with Vince McMahon at all.
Yeah.
So, for me, yes, it's great they've signed him to NXT, but what then? Maybe I'm a guy that's just, like, I always look for what comes after. What's the main goal? If
anything, you're a guy who's fucking smart, because that's how it should be when you sign a guy. So let's get down to business while we are here, though, Matt. We mentioned it last week, Rebellion 2001. I am looking over down here in the Slam Pig studio, and on the VHS collection is Rebellion 2001. This is and I'm going to come out and say it, this is the best show, I think, quality-wise, match quality, and pacing that we reviewed yet. Better than SummerSlam 92 by far, I think.
Yeah, no Virgil, no Nails, no fucking Crush and Repo Man.
Easy.
It's easy. I think, like, not just out of the ones we've reviewed, but out of the UK shows to come, I think this still is going to stand out 5-6 weeks down the line.
Is this the best UK show they ever did? Bottom line.
I'm tempted to say yes.
So am I. Me too. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to say it is. From what I've seen in my memories, from what we've yet to review, this is the best one they did.
Yeah. I mean, main... card-wise, very strong. Main event-wise, I think, strongest...
Oh, yeah.
Strongest main event in talent terms. We'll get to it later. It didn't reach WrestleMania 17 standards, but just for the names in the main event, Rock Austin, that has to be the biggest UK main event they've ever staged.
And it was so funny because, like a month or so later, whatever, at Vengeance... when they put the first undisputed title, everybody in that arena wanted Rock and Awesome, and they didn't get it. So it was kind of like you guys finally could be like, fuck you, we got something you didn't for once. You know? And I'm sure
But
that felt
you
good
got
because
the.
you guys always got the short end of the stick back then. You really did.
You're
Look at the
right.
quality
You're
of
right. But then,
shows we reviewed for your pay-per-views, for Christ's sakes.
but then you got Rock Austin retirement match at WrestleMania 19. So I think you still win, Travis.
I mean, we do. I'm just saying though. I felt bad for you guys. But Matt, this took place November 3rd, 2001 at the Manchester Arena. Speak of the devil in Manchester, England. The show
Yes.
kicked off. Okay, before we get down to any of the matches, this is the first show we're reviewing in the history of Union Smack in the dreaded Invasion era. Matt, for those that aren't familiar with this trip down a shit-filled lane, the Invasion angle, the biggest bust, I would say, the most disappointing outcome to any, it had so much fucking potential. I can't underscore enough the word potential when you speak about the Invasion.
Yeah, and I don't know what went wrong, apart from obviously Vince McMahon didn't see the potential, and once once it had begun, he thought, this isn't going to have any life in it. Let's cut it short at Survivor Series, and they tried to pack too much into too little time instead of fleshing it out slowly.
Yeah.
And then they had that fucking awful idea of turning Austin heel against the WWE.
They destroyed DDP's career, essentially.
Yep.
Which
do you know
he
what?
never
I've put
recovered
that
from.
down in the notes.
Yep.
They took a WCW main event star who had clawed his way up from nothing, reached the top of the mountain, and then Vince McMahon took a big boot and kicked him right back down again.
And look, we're all about devil's advocate on the show, guys. And yes, it's come out, like reasons we know why they went this way because guys like Goldberg, Nash, all of them were locked up under contract. Why would Goldberg come and make less money when he could just stay home and sit on his WCW? We get that. But even with the guys at their disposal that they had to work with, anybody could have booked it better than this. Anybody.
Exactly. You had Booker T, who came in strong at King of the Ring, attacking Austin, looked like $1 million, and you drop him out. You put him in a main event against Marcus Bagwell for the WCW Championship, and this is meant to highlight. Oh, this is going to be a new WCW. This is going to be. No, it's not. The match was shit, and I do believe, Travis, and I've heard heavy rumours that Vince was planning for a while at least to make it WCW Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, there's been a lot of speculation of what plans were supposed to be. Like, it's supposed to be Scott Hudson and Double A weekly, right? That goddamn Booker T Buff Bagwell match. If only that match didn't happen. You know what I'm talking about. That killed WCW. At the end of the day, Buff Bagwell killed WCW.
Well done, Buff. The amount of talent they had, could they not have found someone better for Booker T? I mean, you're trying to make an impression. Unless they were purposely trying to kill WCW. Unless this was Vince saying, you know what, fuck it. Let's show them what I've been saying for years, that WCW could never put on a great match.
It speaks to how asinine they handled this entire thing when the one guy that they repackaged and became moderately successful was on the show was the Hurricane, of all guys. That was like the one guy they took. Yeah. You know what I mean? And gave a shit about.
He did really well out of this.
People don't realize how over Shane Helms was with this gimmick in like the mid 2000s.
He was really over. Tag team champion with Kane.
Pin the Rock don't just on Raw.
Exactly. They don't just give the Rock and Kane anyone in this early in 2000. You have to be someone who's a crowd are buying into, or someone that looks really special for that to happen. And I think Shane Helms just. He made the best of a bad situation. I'm totally not sure that he'd have jumped for joy when Vince went, "You're going to be a superhero gimmick." But he took that and he ran with it, Travis, and he made a lot of money doing it. And all credit to Shane Helms for.
Yep, and we will definitely get back to the Hurricane, and it's coming through.
Yeah,
and speaking of running through for time constraints, let's get right down to the show. There was a dark, do you have the DVD? With your massive collection to this show? I'm sure you do.
I have the DVD. The dark match isn't on it.
I was going to say, was this on the show on your version? But apparently, the
No.
dark match was a tag team match that Billy and Chuck defeated Lance Storm and Just Incredible.
Yeah.
So WWF versus Alliance match. Billy and Chuck supposed to be the baby faces, I guess, in that. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
they were.
But
Yeah.
the show kicked off with a match that never gets talked about, which is surprising, considered one of them's a Hall of Famer now, and the Edge and
Yeah.
Christian. Edge and Christian in a cage match for the Intercontinental title match. You know what surprised me, and I know it's probably on your notes. This happened in late 2001. We never saw this shark cage at this time. They brought it back for this match.
They did. They brought it back, and I can't remember the last time we saw it before this. I remember.
I would say that's on my notes too. I think for the last. Yep, there it is. St. Valentine's Day Massacre was the last time we saw this cage.
Jesus. So 2 years earlier.
2 years earlier.
Actually, 2 years and a bit earlier.
Here's what I have been dying to ask you since we have gone back to review this. Do you prefer this cage or the other cage better?
Oh, this cage.
Me too, because this one looks like it actually hurts.
Exactly. I don't see how being thrown against mesh can hurt, as opposed to being thrown against proper steel bars. Like,
I mean, we did it all the time in school with, like, we pretend they were cage matches. That shit didn't hurt. You know what I'm talking. We bounced on the cage, the fence. But
exactly.
But the match itself,
WWE
you know what? It won't set your world on fire, Matt, but it was a good cage match for what it was. I think, it wasn't one of the more violent, gory. It was a great match with the cage around it, which at the end of the day kind of screams like why they even have a cage match. But I guess the angle for this, obviously the brothers, the grudge, and all that stuff, he turned on Edge. What did you think of this to kick off the show? Maybe you
enjoyed
hated
it. No, I didn't. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's the best Edge or Christian match ever. They seemed a bit constrained within the cage. There were moments where it looked like they didn't quite know what to do with their surroundings. I got the feeling WWE booked this as a steel cage match just for the attraction to open the show, so they could put on the site that sells tickets that you're going to see Edge versus Christian in a steel cage. And fair enough, that'd take my money there and then, because I can't ever remember a steel cage match on the UK show. I'm sure there's been the odd house show one, but pay-per-view wise, I can't remember a UK show having a steel cage match.
What? And I was excited for this for you guys again. Speaking of stuff you got, we didn't, because I don't remember this feud actually ever getting a payoff on actual WWF TV at the time. I don't think it ever did. No,
I don't.
You know what I mean?
I don't. I think Christian, they buried Christian before this. Another, by the way, European champion who wasn't European, Vince.
Yeah.
Moron. Sorry.
DDP's on this pay-per-view too. I mean,
he is.
He held the belt. But they gave this match 20 minutes, which was 2 minutes shy of the main event. They gave it a lot of time. Good match. And Edge comes out victorious. And like I said, better cage matches out there. But if you get a chance, I would say go back and check this match out, if anything, off of this show, man.
What did you think of the ending where he taped his feet together through the cage? I thought it was a bit.
I like it, and the only reason I don't like it is because we've seen it done so many times. But psychology-wise, and I love when the announcers play it up when they use the tape, how perspiration makes the tape harder to rip, and it's true, and it makes sense. You know what I mean? It is hard to get off, but it's an overdone gimmick, kind of like with the powder in the eyes and all that stuff, in my opinion.
It is, and considering this didn't get an actual payoff on television, I thought it would probably have been better for Edge just to pin him with the spear, and then they could have said, done, bye.
And I felt like this match needed to be a little more blood feudish feeling. Like it needed a little more violence to it, considering the circumstances. Definitely.
You could have blown the feud off here with a little bit of a bloodbath and a clean Edge win.
I think if I have the book for this match, I make it that more physical style, and I think it's just a case of, with storyline purposes, I make it Edge just beating Christian to a pulp in a bloodbath, and he essentially Christian is just out, and Edge just leaves the cage. And that makes Edge look strong. And Christian still kind of looks strong because it's like he just took so much. But I don't know. They did that. They didn't do that, though, I should say. But
of course they didn't. That would have been logical.
Where did that take us to next on Rebellion?
That took us to a little recap of Kurt Angle's defection to the Alliance, which was fine. And then it took us to the first in a series of vignettes with Chavo Guerrero and Bill DeMott trying to interview the Divas. And they
Bill
found
DeMott literally looks 18 years old or like 20 years old in this. He looks so young.
What happened? The years were not kind to Bill DeMott.
I don't know.
They were not kind at all to him.
Just the stress of being around Vince, man. I guess that's all I can equate that to, because you're right.
Vince McMahon puts 50 years on your life.
Jesus Christ, it really does, guys. Go back, check this out. Even Chavo. It's like Chavo first came in around the Sunday. He was around Vince, and then he turned into Kerwin White, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this wasn't funny. It was all right with the Divas. I mean, it kind of mild chuckle out of me, but this wasn't very good. Just not the right two guys, I think, in this role.
Yeah. They just had nothing to do with them and thought we need a bit of comedy.
Exactly.
Grab the pair. That was it.
The most TV time either one of these got in the Invasion angle, though. So
I can't remember. I think I remember Bill DeMott being was he on the Invasion pay-per-view? Bill DeMott. I know Chavo definitely.
Wasn't it like a tag team or a 6-man match or something?
I think it was. I can't remember whether Chavo was on it. So I'm going to say like Chavo never featured on a pay-per-view in the Invasion era.
That's a good show to go back for us in the future and check out. Maybe we should check out.
It is. I like that show. I really do like that show.
Not that. It's when the Invasion angle still had promise at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
You know,
it's before they fucked it up.
The bed. Did that take us to Scotty Too Hottie and Speak of the Devil, the Hurricane?
It did. Stand back.
For a comedy match, I liked it. Another match, I'm going to give a pass. I thought it was okay. Nothing great. Yep. I thought both men did their part well. It is what it is. You go into this expecting what it's going to be, especially with just looking at the names on paper. But it was fine. It was fine.
I think Scotty Too Hottie is an underrated wrestler. The only problem I ever had with him was that fucking worm finisher. Who are you kidding? That's not beating anyone. Yep. Just basically a chop to the chest, please. But good match.
Just that era, man. The people's elbow, the what's up headbutt, all that stuff. Things that are the most basic moves glorified with a taunt that all apparently knock out fucking Superman. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
That's what this era did more than any other era, I think. Just take the most... Even the 80s. Even the fucking 80s. At least the Shake, Rattle, and Roll, as silly of a name that was for the Honky Tonk Man, it was a pretty sweet neck breaker. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do. That was... I think some wrestlers can pull off simple finishes like the People's Elbow because of their name. You know, I think The Rock got away with that because of how big he was. Had it been the Hurricane, I don't think... Or even Scotty Too Hottie, I don't think an elbow drop would have come off great with the audience as a finisher. Yeah. So I think it depends on the wrestler and how much star power they carry.
And I think it totally fits Scotty. And say what you want about the move. And yeah, I agree. It was silly, but few moves were over like that move. Like, it totally jumped the shark after a couple months. But when it first came out, when he was with Too Cool, like, that move was red hot. Yeah. And people liked to see it.
It was. And I enjoyed Too Cool, by the way. For anyone who... I've heard a lot of people say they were crap. Fuck you. I enjoyed them. Sorry.
You know what? I preferred Too Much. I like him in that gimmick better. Come at me.
Yeah? Do you know what? I actually forgot about Too Much. Maybe they didn't leave a big enough impression on me.
I cannot go back and watch a Too Much match without the biggest smile on my face. Brian Christopher was tremendous. He was so funny to watch. He was just goofy, and I think he's underrated too. I really do. He was his own worst enemy, obviously.
Yes, with the drugs.
The Hurricane, though, this was when they first started the gimmick, and he was supposed to be a heel. You could totally not tell he was a heel because the crowd ate the shit up. But they were booking him as this, you know, he thought he was bigger than he was. Kind of like Crash Holly and Hardcore Holly when they thought they were super heavyweights. The best moments of this early Hurricane was in the Rumble a couple months later when he had Austin and Triple H in a choke slam. And then they just threw him over like a sack of shit. That was awesome. But yeah, then, you know, the Hurricane, they finally made him babyface a few months later, and he actually got some big wins, like we said, and they took him in a more serious route. Not too serious, but for a little bit, we got some serious Hurricane.
My favorite Hurricane, I think, feud was against Jamie Noble for the Cruiserweight Championship. I can't tell you why I loved that. I just did. And their match at King of the Ring 2002 was, I think, possibly one of the best cruiserweight matches I've ever seen.
You're a better man than me because I don't remember either one of those matches. I'm going to have to check them out.
Go back and watch it. Cruise Control. Go back and watch it for Cruise Control.
Give me some homework. I like it.
A little bit of homework.
Did this take us to Big Show and DDP next, or was there a promo in between? I can't remember.
It took us to. Oh, hang on. Yeah, it took us to a promo, another Build-A-Mott Chavo Guerrero
Oh, Christ.
little thing. And then that took us to a DDP promo. And Jesus, Travis, the difference between Diamond Dallas Page here and like for a year and a bit ago it's telling what WWE thought of him.
Yep.
You know, he was such a star in WCW. Like I said, he clawed his way up from nothing. He got into the business late. No one really gave him a chance or a hope of making it, but he did. And they just destroyed that. They destroyed it with that ridiculous stalker angle on the Undertaker's then wife. And then
it's
they made
really
him
confusing because there's a lot of stories of DDP when he was still with WCW. He would be backstage hanging out with The Rock and just the boys at WWF shows a lot. And it's like he was on good terms, it felt like, with a lot of the talent. I don't know what.
Yeah.
Like, was it when he walked in the door and Vince was, he drove a Cadillac at WrestleMania 6? What the fuck was the miscommunication? He wasn't. I mean, he wasn't a spring chicken at this stage, but he wasn't, like,
No.
broken down. He could go somewhere. Yeah, we'd see, like, a year and a half later, his career would pretty much come to a halt with the match with Hardcore Holly, but he still had at least a year in him, Vince. I mean,
He did. I'm honestly of the opinion that it was because he was a former WCW champion. You know, I just think when Vince went power crazy when he bought Ted Turner out, and I honestly believe that Vince wanted to destroy the image of, with the exception of Ric Flair, he wanted to destroy the image of the majority of modern day WCW champions. Because look what he did to Booker T. You know, and people might say Booker
then he
T's.
puts over the three guys you think you would hate the most. The NWO comes in a couple months later and he puts them over like Clover. He puts them over like $1 million. So it's so like we say all the time, trying to think like Vince McMahon will drive you insane.
But then so would I. Like, if I've tempted Hall, Nash, and Hogan back for the amount of money I've tempted them back for, I'd put them over as well, whether I wanted to or not.
Exactly.
But DDP was, what was he going to do? Say no and do what? You know, I think Vince McMahon knew that some of these wrestlers didn't have a lot of other options. You know, he'd bought out ECW, he'd bought out WCW. TNA wasn't on TNA wasn't on the scene yet. What are you going to do? You're going to go and fight in a little indie promotion for not a lot of money when, you know what I mean, when you were earning millions before.
Right.
So I really think that Vince knew they didn't have a lot of options, and so he could get away with murder.
And shout out to Page because he took a hell of a pay cut to come to WWF because he'd wanted to come to WWF all along. It was his dream. So the good on him, but I mean, the whole stalker angle, all you have to do is look at Sarah Taker and Kimberly Page and realize how asinine that is. Who would the fuck wants to cheat on Kimberly Page in the 90s and early 2000s? Like, it made no sense, but it is what it is. The match, Big Show and DDP, I gotta say, I will say this, maybe the best looking Big Show chokeslam I've ever seen. Good God.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That was the highlight of the match for me. The rest of it was filler.
Yeah.
Complete filler. I mean, this was a Big Show. Was it me, or did the Big Show look rough in this match?
This match was so much shittier than their match at Starrcade 98 when DDP hit the diamond cutter off the top rope and hit him with the finish. That match was great.
Appearance-wise, though, Big Show, he looked like he just got out of a skip.
Big Show looks younger now than he does in this match.
I agree with you.
He looks like shit here. And you can see why they sent him down to OVW in this time period. He looks like he's drunk, like he just ate a sub. He looks full of food. He just doesn't look good.
He looks like a 20-year alcoholic who's just had the bottle ripped out of his hand and said, "We need you to go for 5 minutes."
And why did they put 2 singlet straps on him? It always looked dumb. Why didn't they just leave it at the giant one strap? That's splitting hairs, but you know, it is what it is. Let's please move on from this match.
Yeah, shitfest. And we move on to another Chavo Build-A-Mott thing where they walk in on Mighty Molly, who completely overacts her part.
She always did.
I liked her when she was Molly Holly. Like,
and that's why it was good. And I say that positively. Like, she always did her cheesiness role really well. She's one of my all-time favorites, for real.
What, as Mighty Molly?
As anything. I'm just a big fan of Mona. I thought she was a really good worker. I think she's going to go down as one of the most underrated women as far as what she could do in the ring for the time, especially.
I agree in the ring. I did not like this gimmick. Like, I
Oh,
thought
I
they were
didn't
trying to
either. I
cash
mean, it
it.
was funny. Like, haha, we get it, but they did it way too long. They ran with
Yeah.
it way too fucking long. I loved her with like her cousins. Obviously, that was gold. You know.
Yeah. I think that was her at her best, gimmick wise. You know, with the little blue top on and the black pants and the hair in pigtails.
Yeah. And she was also that first transition besides Trish and Lita when they brought in actual women that could wrestle. That surge of, oh my god, and then you would see Ivory and Victoria and, for what we see.
I didn't like it when they went with the whole granny panties thing with her.
No, they definitely buried the shit out of Molly Holly in her time in WWF. We do not forget WrestleMania 20, everyone, at all. My poor Molly. I hope she got a hell of a payday for that.
Me too.
Does that take it? My opinion, match of the night. Three-way.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It took us to another angle with Shane McMahon, Steve Austin, and Kurt Angle. The Knights of the Round Table angle.
Oh yes. Good God, take it.
I thought, like, the stuff with Kurt Angle was Steve Austin's best material during this period.
I think the Kurt Angle vignettes with the little tiny hat, all that stuff is the best Kurt Angle stuff ever.
The Jimmy Crackhorn.
Yeah, except his stuff with Edge and Christian. Besides that, the best stuff he's ever done in that company.
And this was the most entertaining Austin had been since WrestleMania 17.
Oh my God, yes. This was tremendous. The only good thing about Austin being here was this chicky shit, out of touch, psychotic character he played that would translate to comedy,
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, we did get the what thing out of the Austin heel turn. I don't know if that's good or bad, but
I think it was good at the time. It's bad for everyone on a microphone now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because that chant just rules an arena every time it gets going. Some of the looks Travis Austin gave Angle here were priceless.
Oh my God, yes.
when he said about, we like the Knights of the Round Table, and Austin turned to him and said, I'm having a bad night right now.
Yeah,
I like that. I just like the little bits like that.
These two, I don't think ever had a bad vignette backstage when it was like supposed to be comedy. I think they always knocked it out of the park and delivered. Something about these two have that weird chemistry. It's something about them,
And I think they always had good pay-per-view matches during this era as well.
Oh yes, SummerSlam this year was tremendous with these two, with Angle as the babyface.
It was, and Unforgiven as well after that, where Angle took the title.
Yeah, okay, I flipped it. I thought it was the other way around. But yeah, both of those matches were really good.
Check them out if you haven't already.
Speaking of good, like I said before, I forgot about the segment. My match of the night was the triple threat elimination match for the WCW Tag Team Championship.
Mm-hmm.
The Dudleys. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, a title no one gave a fuck about by November.
I thought they merged these at SummerSlam, but for some reason it was at Survivor Series this year, so that speaks to how much I remember. Yeah. I've tried to block out from these storylines this time.
You've tried to block out the horrors, Travis.
Didn't they merge the titles in a cage match at Survivor Series this year?
I believe they did, which the Dudley Boys won, am I right in saying?
And it wasn't in an awesome fucking black painted shark cage, it was in that stupid fence cage again.
Yeah.
But right here, good triple threat tag match for the teams in it. I think they also had one at WrestleMania in 2002, but that may have been a four-way. But this was better than that, I thought. And surprising when you look back at credential-wise and how it's funny the APA are eliminated first here.
I thought this match would have been better without the APA.
Me too. I don't think they were needed at all. I don't think
weren't.
They were totally that team that never needed a belt because they were so over.
Yeah, I agree, and it was so much better after they'd gone. I mean, they added, I don't know, I'm not going to say they added a great deal to the match because they didn't. It was more a case of let the Brits see 2 more stars. But
right. I think if
I thought,
anything they added to this match, they added a lot of good babyface sympathy for Jeff Hardy because God, Farouk just beat the shit out of Jeff Hardy here. The spine buster comes to mind.
yeah, I like that because of that stupid fucking hat he was wearing in the ring.
Oh, I hated that shit and when Jeff Hardy did this, with his ponytail through the baseball hat.
He looked like he had no clue he was being booked that night and just turned up casually and thought, oh, fuck, I've actually got to work.
Yeah.
Hated
He literally just came from the rave and he fucking, I have to wrestle.
This would have been better, Travis, if it had just been Dudley Boys, Hardy Boys in a tables match for the WCW tag titles.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would say, like we've already seen that at the Rumble in 2000, but this was a UK show. Why not do that match?
We don't get a lot of, when WWE do come over, we don't get a lot of stipulation matches. So,
yeah,
like 100%, everyone in that Manchester Evening News Arena wouldn't have complained had they just rebooked the tables match.
I don't think
because the tables got a fucking bigger pop than the Hardy Boys did. So no one would have cared. And I mean, it was all right. I think it was too short when the APA had gone. They didn't spend a whole lot of time on the Dudleys and the Hardys, which was a mistake.
I mean, this match went 12 minutes. I don't think the APA was going until about 6 or 7 minutes in.
Exactly. So there was not enough time for the Dudleys and the Hardys to work any magic at all.
Right. I think they pulled it off, though, for the time they were allotted. I mean, I don't know. I mean, in-ring wise, I would say this was match night. Heat wise, the crowd wasn't that invested, like you said. Heat wise, I'd have to give my match night probably the main event. But I don't know. In-ring wise, it was fine. It was good pacing.
Yeah.
Could be much worse.
Could have been worse. I don't know. There was something.
And it would get worse. Billy and Chuck would hold the belts eventually.
That is true. Just Billy and Chuck, the gay, non-gay couple. Fuck, do you remember that wedding? Eric Bischoff dressed as the priest.
I actually liked it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just like that segment of how I legit couldn't tell it was Bischoff when watching it originally.
Yeah, I agree with that. They did a good job of the prosthetics.
That's about it. That's all I liked.
I enjoyed the beatdown of Billy and Chuck with the 3-minute warning.
Yeah, they beat the shit out of them.
They did.
Are we at Regal and Tajiri, or was there another vignette?
There was just a little vignette of... Actually, no. You're right. There was a little video package of The Rock and Jericho losing the tag team titles.
Okay. Which I totally fucking forgot they even held together, by the way.
Yeah, me too. That was a bad period. Why does The Rock need the tag team title when he's so fixed on the WWF Championship?
Doesn't it still hold the record? 2001 has the most title changes than any other year in WWE history.
I think it does. I'd have to go back and double check, but I really think it does.
It was insane in this year.
If you like title changes, if you don't like long champions, then this is definitely the period for you. So,
amen.
Yeah, go back if you like that. Go back and check it out. Just don't expect anything of any great quality after July 2001.
I mean, you get the supermarket brawl with Booker T and Austin. I don't know if that was after July. Maybe around that time. I don't know.
I think it was. It was after it was after June, King of the Ring.
The gems are few and far between in this era, is what Matt's saying, guys.
Yes, they are.
But William Regal, as a part of the Alliance, has a match with Tajiri.
He does. Before that, we've got Vince, Rock, and Jericho backstage.
Excuse me.
Vince wants them to bury the hatchet. It's a basic formula of Vince wants them to bury the hatchet. They try, and then The Rock beats up Jericho because Jericho says to him, try not to lose another big one. And that's it. That's the basic brawl.
And I swear to God, they did the same backstage segment in Survivor Series that year. Vince was trying to bring them all together for Team WWF.
Yes.
I swear to God. It was just the same clip, it felt like. It really did.
Lazy ass booking.
Yep.
And writing. Let's not come up with anything else. Let's just give them that again. Fuck it. Are any Americans watching this UK show? Probably not. Give them shit.
Who had the book in this time is the question. Russo was long gone. Was it? It was not Gerwitz yet. I don't think.
I do not know.
That is the unknown thing throughout the invasion angles. Who the fuck had the book besides Vince? Because it wasn't always just Vince. He had a go-to guy.
Yeah.
We may never know. We may never know.
I'd like
Nobody
I'd
wants
like
to
to
own
find
up to
out.
it is the fucking thing. Like, no, not me. Fuck no, it wasn't me.
It's like one of them things that's wiped from history, isn't it? So no one can.
Yep.
No one has to take the blame for this.
2001 is the Chris Benoit of wrestling years, pretty much. I hate to be that guy.
Stop
But
it.
William Regal and Tajiri. Finally, we
Yeah.
get to this match. Nice little match. One of my favorite Tajiri matches in WWF, probably. It's not saying a lot, but still. What'd you think of a Hero's Homecoming with Mr. Regal?
Jesus. The British, and it was a homecoming. He was from Blackpool, which is an hour's car ride up the road.
Countryman's Homecoming. I'm sorry, I pulled a WWE. I just labeled him as a part of it, like they did with Davey Boy.
the hometown hero.
I did not say the hometown hero. I said a hero's welcome or something.
Well, he definitely wasn't the hometown hero because they booed the shit out of him here.
I know,
and
that made me feel good. It's like Regal was that good of a heel, you know?
He was. And his promo, like before the match, saying it was good of you to come out and see me, spending all your, I think, what was it, spending all of your money, some of you your doll money. That was a great line. And for anyone who doesn't know what doll money is, it's benefit money.
Is this the first UK show where the fans didn't go apeshit for a guy just because they were from England? Like, this was the first time he got heel heat?
I think it was. I can't remember it happening at No Mercy 99.
I mean, they love Vinnie fucking Jones, for God's sakes, and Regal got booed.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think in this period, like, we love to play up to it. I think deep down, like, everyone respected Regal in England. It's just that he was a heel, you know? And he fuck what am I saying, Travis? He turned his back on WWE. I just think it was a nice bit of dramatics.
What you're saying. I know what you're saying, and I'm going to spell it out for our listeners. Guys, when you see a heel doing his job to make a wrestling show good and balanced and how it should be, don't cheer him! I saw this shit on Twitter like 2 weeks ago. I saw one of these podcasts, they put out a tweet, why we should cheer the villain, Marty Squirrel. I'm like, no, you don't, because that's not what he wants you to do. That's counterproductive. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's the problem. And even fans in late 2001 still had the mentality. The Attitude Era fans still booed a heel when it was called for. They didn't go into business for themselves, and this bullshit we see today.
It is, and I'm glad you said that because I don't like heels being booed, but I think it's just a sign of the times we're in. You know, heels are more fucking.
Wait, you mean you don't like heels being cheered? Because you said you don't like heels being booed. I don't know if you mixed up your words or.
Did I say that?
Yeah, I don't want people to think you said one thing and then they bash
I don't like heels being cheered. Sorry.
Okay, there you go. There it is.
Like, you can forgive it sometimes because of how good they are in the ring. You know, we're in a time when most people, appreciate good wrestling.
Well, we're in a time also when the only guys that we can stomach are the heels. That's how they book the baby faces anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's how Saka and the baby faces have become.
Yep. So it's hard not to be that guy, and we're all guilty of it. Kevin Owens comes to mind. Your fucking Skype thing is Fight Owens Fight, for God's sakes. You know?
Yeah, thanks for telling people that.
I didn't tell him your name. I just said what the picture is.
Yeah. I cheer Pete Dunne. I cheer Braun Strowman. So I don't know whether that will continue. But I know while WWE continue to book baby faces like they book John Cena and, you know, who wants to cheer that week in, week out? I'd rather see a Kevin Owens.
Well, and because they've done it and handled it so way, we're in that era too where it's like, I can't tell if Braun's supposed to be a heel most weeks. I can't tell if Joe's a heel in that Brock feud. It's just they blur that line so much, and sometimes that numbs your audience. Thank God for the talents of like a Joe and a Braun Strowman and get people invested, but that's a scary line to walk when you play around with characters like that. You know what I mean?
It is. I also think it's got something to do with how they perform. You could have an excellent heel, but he could be shit in the ring, and I don't think fans would respect that as much and he might get treated as a heel should. But while you've got the Owens, the Dunns, people who can actually mix it up in the ring and put on a great match, why are you going to boo that?
And we see that, and that's natural progression too. Like Shawn Michaels, he naturally transitioned to a babyface, and he never really changed a thing. The guy that everyone loves to bring up when we bring this up is Steve Austin. The reason Steve Austin hit like he did is because we had that formula of a face as a face and a heel as a heel for so long. We didn't have a tweener like that ever. Steve Austin was a rare occurrence. But when you take that and you piggyback off the Austin gimmick with tweeners for years, it numbs your audience and it takes away what made that special in the first place. And I think that's what people were forgetting. And I don't think people are doing this maliciously. I just think, like you said, it's hard not to cheer, and that speaks to how shitty the baby faces are usually in this day and age.
Yeah.
So it's hard to...
I can't think of a ton of baby faces that you'd want to cheer over a heel. Styles, obviously.
Right.
Even Nakamura now. I don't want to cheer him over Corbin.
And
because
it's like... and also, like, you could say the best baby faces were usually transitioned organically from the fans as a heel, right? But you can't do that to every heel. You can't transition everyone if you cheer them all to like, you know what I mean? Like
I know.
It shouldn't be this complicated to enjoy wrestling, but WWE gives us no choice. And it's not our faults. It's not you guys' faults. It's just what they've done to wrestling and how they've just hotshot booking for decades and decades. And just, I'm turning into a rant machine on it, but it's true.
I will say, can I just say on this, I think WWE have got it. I'll say WWE. I think Triple H has got it right with Bobby Roode. He still walks that line where everyone loves and respects his in-ring, but they still largely or majority boo him because he's a heel.
And I know everyone kisses Triple H's ass now, but like, you can say what you want. It seems like he's that old school mentality. He wants to bring it more back to that dreaded word wrestling, as opposed to this Kevin Dunn, Vince McMahon, glitz and glamour bullshit. That there's a market for that, but you have your own network now. It's not like the early 2000s or the 90s. There's something for everyone now, and you're capable of delivering on that. But they're not. They want to make everything under the hokey umbrella. 205 Live, that comes to mind. I'm just saying it's really sad that a William Regal entrance brought us on this rant. I just want to point that out. Of all things,
it is. But credit to Regal for bringing that level of hate out of his countrymen.
There you go. But
can I just say, this wouldn't have happened with the Bulldog. He could have been the biggest arsehole in the world, but because of his history, people would have still cheered him in Britain.
Even shitty denim jeans, crappy theme music Bulldog would have got it.
Yes, right. Even the fucking barking at the beginning of his music. Jesus Christ.
Cue it up. Good fight. Did you like the match, Matt, before we move on to the WCW title match?
I did. I originally got the impression that it was thrown on to fill time, but I think Regal and Tajiri made like the Hurricane, they made the best of a bad situation.
They did.
And actually, I'd have paid to see this on the American pay-per-view.
Me too. It may have happened, or at least on Raw.
I think it happened on Raw. Though saying that, Travis, I'm thinking Unforgiven. I'm not sure why.
Maybe. I don't know.
But now you say it, I'm sure they went on a pay-per-view. Somewhere, anyway. Drop it in the comments if anyone knows.
Let us know down below.
We did not come prepared for that bit.
No. Where did that take us to next on Rebellion, Matt?
It took us to Kurt Angle interview as he was gearing up to fight Chris Jericho for the WCW Championship. He jumped on this bandwagon of WWE getting the Strange Ways prison name in. Like, they got that in a lot on this show.
Yeah.
Why? It seems to be something with every fucking UK pay-per-view. First it was, the Flags. Then it was having a go at the British people. Now it's Strange Ways prison.
What's next?
It sounded fucking bizarre.
What's next? Bangers and MASH references or something? I don't fucking know how many stereotypes are left at this point.
I bet there's quite a few. And I bet we've got quite a few to come as well. This was basically broke down what Y2J stood for. Didn't note it down because it wasn't entertaining in the slightest. But I will say this is Kurt Angle. Like, for anyone who hasn't seen him perform beyond 2010, for me, this was the classic Kurt Angle, not what they've made him into today. He could talk, he was funny. Now he's just a generic robot, with the exception of the Jason Jordan thing.
Pronounce WWE to save his life. WWE. Holy shit. You know what else? Speaking of disappointment in Kurt Angle, the match on this with Chris Jericho was really disappointing. It's just boring. I don't know.
It was. It resembled a brawl for me a lot more than a wrestling match, and there was too many rest holds. I've noted down here, like, most of the time, it looked like it was just a by the numbers affair.
I hate to say this, and I feel like we say this a lot for the UK shows. If any of the matches on this card seemed like it was phoned in a bit, it might have been this one.
Yeah, totally agree. This could have been every house show match they ever had.
And if anything, this is the co-main event. I would think it would be flipped. Considering The Rock and Austin were in the main event, I'd thought those would be the guys to phone it in, if anything, on this card. But no, the two guys you would think would be the workhorses no matter what, they just took a piss. I mean, it wasn't like, we're not trying to say it was bad, I think, Matt. It was just so much, it was missing things that could have been there. I don't know.
Maybe it was us. Maybe our expectations going into it, because of who was in the match, were too high. Maybe it's 50-50 blame, but it just wasn't. You couldn't get into it. It left you cold at the end. When Jericho wins with a roll up, I was still waiting for the match to really get going at that point.
Yeah, this was literally 14 minutes, 55 seconds of mundane. Just come on, like take it home or something. Pick up.
When Jericho won, I was like, "What fuck is that? It? We're not getting any more. I'm still waiting for it to start."
Right. I felt the same exact way, honestly. And I really don't have a lot to say about this match besides that. That's really not... There's not a lot we can say about it. They just kind of left it at that. Nobody got their heat back, nothing.
Nope. The Rock interview that followed was 10 times more interesting than the entire match that had just gone.
I agree.
But then, did we expect anything less? Like, The Rock was always...
Yep. This was a standard rinse and repeat Rock promo. Got the fans back on their feet, especially after a match like that. And I think that's kind of why it was... maybe it wasn't planned, but maybe they just saw the match and let's throw The Rock out there. But who knows?
Yeah.
That did take us, I think, to my... Was this the worst match of the night? Come on.
Yes. Oh, this was... Good
God.
This was your standard shit show.
Our stinker of the week, right here on Union Smack. Tori Wilson and Lita, Team WWF, defeated Stacy Keibler and Matt's all-time favorite, Mighty Molly, representing the Alliance, with special ref Trish. Take it, Matt. Take away the shit show that was the 2001 women's division. Shout out to our buddy Jay Baca. We love you, Jay.
Yes. I don't know what you want me to say, to be honest, Travis, because it was Cartwheel City for a lot of the beginning of this match. Stacy Keibler.
Cartwheel City, bitch.
That's a t-shirt waiting to happen right
What if Rock just started doing cartwheels instead of suplex?
Can you imagine? Oh my God. This was right at the beginning of Trish Stratus's, propel into stardom. She was the most over thing in this match, and she wasn't even competing. She would go on to capture the WWF Women's Championship at Survivor Series. And then, can I just say that, fuck the match. Let's talk about Trish Stratus for a minute.
Yes, anything but the fucking match. Tori Wilson and Lita won.
Yeah, no one cares. Trish Stratus was, for me, she's in the position that Carmella is in now, where her popularity's there, but her in-ring wasn't. 2001, she was awful.
Oh, yeah. She was not polished.
She was pig shit ugly in the ring, And I feel like she's the same as Carmella is now. She's got the fan support, Fans boo her, but secretly they like her.
Right.
She's just not got it in the ring, Carmella. And I feel like she could be, I'm going out there on a limb, she could be the next Trish Stratus. Like, starts she starts
Those are
as
mighty
not
big
very
words,
much.
my friend, to live up to there.
Yes,
Are
I'm
you
going to fall
prepared
flat
for the
on my face with
backlash
them.
on that comment?
Give me it. Give me the backlash.
Give it to him,
But
everyone.
I'm saying that the paths are very similar, and I honestly believe that obviously Carmella will cash in at some point at SummerSlam or after, and she's going to be in the exact same position Trish was at Survivor Series 2001, where she's got the belt. She's not great in the ring, but I see the dedication in Carmella the same as I saw it in Trish Stratus.
Right, and Trish got that belt not starting off not polished, and she got a chance. When you're the champion, you have to work with all comers. And I'm always been in that camp. But yeah, Trish was really good, but compared to even what we see now with Charlotte, she wasn't that good by the end. I think she's a little overglorified, but considering what she was surrounded by at the time, she was fucking really good.
Yeah, she had to carry like a past the Ivory.
That Jackie Gata match.
I don't know if you agree with me, Travis. I think, apart from obviously all the matches she had with Lita in her prime, putting Lita aside, for me, her feud with Victoria was probably the best she got, aside from Lita.
They had the No Holds Barred match.
Survivor Series 2002.
Yes, that was a really good match for its time.
It was. I loved that. Can I just say one of my favourite pay-per-views ever, Survivor Series 2002.
And you know what? Shout out sneak peek, Slam Pigs top 3 dropping this week. Slam Pigs extra top 3 SummerSlams, and SummerSlam 2002 is on my top 3 of all time. Another tremendous show that year.
Good. I'm glad to hear that because it was fucking brilliant.
I love that SummerSlam. But anyway, that's not the show. Trish Stratus, and 3 years later, off that great feud with Victoria, they'd put her at WrestleMania with Christy Hemme, and that makes fucking sense. As a heel, oh my god. But anyway.
Just lost their way again.
Are we at Union Smack main event time this week, Matt?
We are. We are at WrestleMania 17 rematch, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, for the WWF Championship. And go on.
No, by all means. I just had a question for you.
Not as good as WrestleMania 17, but then I didn't expect it to be. Still a really good match, though. Really strong. At least for me.
This was better than their WrestleMania 15 match, I would think.
Better than the WrestleMania 15 match, not as good. I mean, for me, WrestleMania 17 main event, I mean, people are going to say Undertaker, Michaels, possibly Savage, Steamboat. But I would say if this isn't the best WrestleMania match ever, it's certainly 1A or a very close runner-up.
As far as the crowd, I would agree. I don't like the match itself as a match for the most part. It just seemed like rinse and repeat, tease each other's finisher, come down, beat him with a chair. There was no flow to the ending. It just kind of happened. The fans were confused. I don't know. I get what you're saying for the spectacle, and my God, that crowd. My God, that fucking crowd. But I'm iffy on the match. I always have been.
Do you know, I think that's one of the first major things tonight we've disagreed on.
It's about time, because we're almost at a show. We waited till the main event to do it, though.
We're almost at the end, and we're fucking... Yeah. Oh. But anyway, I thought that WrestleMania 17 match was awesome. This was good. I didn't expect it to be anything special because it's a UK show.
But it was special, except for the ending. The ending was just lame and fucking dumb and an easy way out. But this felt special, and you could feel the excitement in the fans over there for this match. Like they were just like, you could feel that sigh of relief. Like finally, like we have something to validate why we're here.
And I will say that looking back on it now, I mean, we know that how the WWF Championship picture would pan out at Vengeance, but it did feel like maybe The Rock could be the first person to win a WWF Championship in England.
You totally get that feeling going back to watch this. They handled this match well, building up the whole show from start to finish. The match was a pretty standard Rock and Austin match, brawl up on the ramp, blah, 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 spot. Kurt Angle runs down towards the end, Matt. How did the finish go down here?
The finish went down, ref bump, Kurt Angle with a chair, very similar to what would happen at the culmination of Survivor Series. Only this time, he levels The Rock with the chair. Predictably, Chris Jericho makes a save. Chair swaps hands, and of course, The Rock thinks Chris Jericho's hit him. Rock attacks Chris Jericho to set up their rivalry in and out of SummerSlam. Survivor Series, sorry.
Which was never that great of a rivalry, let's be honest. It had so much more potential than this.
It did. That rivalry felt like WWE just wanted to create some tension in their ranks, so it was just like, just book them to do something.
Yep.
A rock bottom on Austin, Kurt Angle breaks up the cover, and then hits The Rock with the belt. Stunner, victory. Although a decent match. I'm not going to go out there and say it was really good because it didn't live up to an expectation that I probably unfairly had for it. But it was watchable, and certainly the best main event we've had on the WWF UK show, and that's going for like Bulldog Michaels and Bulldog Bret Hart.
And that awful,
certainly the fucking main event of No
match.
Mercy.
Good God.
Did you actually go back and watch that in the end?
I have. Thank you. That's it. That's Rebellion. Matt, overall, what do you grade this week's show on Union Smack?
I'll give it a B+.
You know what? I'm going to give it an A-. Solid pacing.
Wow.
For the majority, the Angle vignette. My biggest problems with this were way too much Bill DeMott. The ladies' match was a stinkeroo.
Yeah.
And some of the vignettes literally feel like they took clips from Raw. And I hated that for the UK shows sometimes. But other than that, not really any match. Even the Big Show match, that choke slam was worth suffering through that match. Because that was a good fucking choke slam. I'm not going to say that enough. But
I think I'd have given it somewhere in an A if Angle and Jericho had have been better. You know? Maybe not that much better, but just something. We knew Angle wasn't going to win, so just give us something to get excited about. But for that reason, and the shitty women's match, it gets a B+ from me.
And there you have it, my beloved VHS. Rebellion 1 is in the books. Another week on Union Smack. Where are we headed next week, Matt?
We're headed to ECW.
Oh my God.
The land of extreme. The first time, 8 weeks in, Travis. And how have we not thought of doing ECW before?
We are bringing our barbed wire and our hat guys and our Paul Heymans, and we are doing it finally to Land of Extreme. And I believe we're visiting Heatwave 98.
We are.
My favorite ECW pay-per-view of all time.
I can't remember that much of it. So, because we didn't get ECW over here until must have been the first time I really took notice of it on a UK TV was very early 2000s when it was on a channel called Bravo over here. So, you know, to watch ECW in the UK before that, you'd really have to search out the VHS tapes, which were few and far between.
Or the bootleggers, order them online or something to that effect.
Yeah, or take what passed to the internet back then and just see if you could get something from it.
Yep. But that's that. We're getting Extreme next week. I'm so excited to talk about that show. But until then, Matt, where can everyone check you, Future Wrestling Podcast, all that good stuff out?
You can check me out on Twitter at TenantFutureDW, and you can check me and the Wolverine Logan Myers out on the Future Wrestling Podcast, Episode 3, drop in next week.
And until next time, as always, follow me on Twitter at TheHibiki. Check out the recent on the Slam Picks Podcast. And I'm officially happy to announce I am the new official co-host of the Kayfabe Today podcast with Broski. Literally recording this on the day that Shane McMahon was in a helicopter crash, and I am on that show now. So big day, news-wise, but
congratulations.
And congrats to Shane McMahon in all seriousness for everything.
Yes, that could have been nasty.
Until next week, this is Slam Pigs Union Smack. Cheerio, mates.
Cheerio, mates.
Hey, you dirty fucking pigs. Mike here from the Slam Pigs Podcast, reminding you once again to check us out on Twitter, whether it be the Slam Pigs podcast, whether it be me at Mike the Slam Pig, or whether it be our sister show, The Reset Button. Check us out. Also, you can find us on Facebook at the Slam Pigs podcast or The Reset Button. And as always, make sure you check us out as a whole on Hibiki TMD. Until we see you next time, oink oink.